Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with a little tutorial in how to trash a critic, namely me. Because, as you know, I enjoy sharing some of the vitriol that comes my way in the comments section before it gets deleted forever. And a really juicy bit of name calling popped up this week that I think serves as an object lesson in how not to trash a critic, but it's fun to read anyway and fun to listen to. And, I just want to make a point. Some of you, last time I did this, when I shared some of these, hostile comments were extremely kind and rose to my defense. And I appreciate it, but it isn't necessary because I truly do believe, and I learned this the hard way in my career, that if you dish it out, you have to be able to take it. I mean, it works both ways. And I get that. I really do. I mean, I say some very harsh things, and if people want to say harsh things back, more power to them. They get to do it. Where I draw the line is actual hate speech, like the anti-Semitic stuff. And, some of these things are scary, and that stuff I'll report to YouTube and we'll, leave it at that. But most of this is pretty harmless, and it's anger and rage, and a lot of it has a hidden agenda that I don't know about, which, we can sort of surmise, and we'll see if there's one here. But let me give you this particular example, and then we can analyze it a little bit. The video that was found to be so objectionable, was my trashing of the Christian Thielemann Bruckner Symphony cycle on Sony. Now, from the response I got from most of you, I found that there was general agreement that it was pretty dreadful. It really is. It's just bad. I mean, it's bad for any number of reasons. And I talked about what those reasons were. The slovenly playing, the bad balances, and the terrible recorded sound. And there are all kinds of reasons why these performances really basically sucked. And so, what can I say? Here is the comment from one, Vasilios Lambropopoulos. That's how he does it. I don't know if that's really the person's name. You never really know. It's Vasilios Lambropoulos, 3236, who has been henceforth banned from the channel, of course. But, that's another issue. You ready? Here we go. Quote, I follow the classical music press on both sides of the Atlantic, and I do not think there is a critic and commentator more self-important, more self-indulgent, and more self-deluded than you. Your performances, because that's what they really are, they are ridiculous, reaching new levels of kitsch every time. Of course, you are shameless and can get away with it. What I find particularly interesting is your resentment and hatred for musicians in general. That's news. This clip is a fine example of the vulgar pleasure you get out of expressing unadulterated, nihilistic contempt just for the sake of it. Your sarcastic misanthropy makes me sick. Okay, that's pretty juicy, isn't it? I like the sarcastic misanthropy. I mean, look, what fascinates me about this particular comment, and which I think makes it an object lesson in how not to trash a critic, is it's nothing but bile and sputum and hostility, devoid of substance. If you don't like what I said about Christian Thielemann's Bruckner cycle, say something that contradicts what I said about Christian Thielemann's Bruckner cycle. In this entire exordium that this person wrote, there is not a mention of Thielemann or Bruckner or an issue taken with any of the comments I make about the music, the actual performance, the details of why they're so bad. Because one thing I will say, and this is, I think, sort of important to keep in mind, is that however vicious, a bad review is, not just from me, from any critic, basically. I mean, it could be a very good review if it's based on the audible facts of the performances in question, because then you can agree or you can disagree, and you know where you stand vis-a-vis the opinion of the critic and the performances itself, so you can make a sensible decision about whether to purchase it or not purchase it. Now I realize this is taking it all very seriously, when obviously this comment is intended to be nothing more than insulting, but these things do matter. They do matter. And there is a good way to go after me. I'm telling you, if you want to go after me, get me wrong on the facts. I make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. We all make mistakes all the time. I mean, there's so many details to keep in mind. You correct me constantly on dates, on names that I mispronounce and misspell, on I've occasionally reviewed 2 different recordings, positively and negatively, and depending on how I felt at the moment. There are all kinds of things that show that critics, like all of us, are fallible human beings, and we make mistakes. And you can call us out on them. But 99% of the time, when you do that, you do it in a spirit of I think, productive and constructive criticism. And I'm happy to have my mistakes corrected. I really am, because they embarrass me, and it makes me a better critic to have my mistakes corrected. I mean, we all are learning perpetually. So that's the reality, right? That's what healthy, normal people do, and that's what a healthy, normal discourse is. This stuff raises the question of whether or not the person writing is a fot, that is, a friend of Telemann, or a cult member of the Telemann whatever fan club, assuming there is one. God forbid, what a scary bunch that must be. But, you never know. You don't know who they really are, why they're really writing, what their agenda is. And this is one of those comments that really kind of begs the question, because it's so completely devoid of musical substance and consists of nothing but, bile and vituperation. And I have to confess, I enjoy bile and vituperation. I mean, I know other people sort of go, oh, no, it's terrible. Don't give it a platform. It's okay. It's part of the world. It's part of the experience. It's part of our existence. And so I don't want to make a huge thing about it, and I don't want to welcome people to start writing nasty stuff, because it's very time consuming to read it and delete it and get rid of it and all that stuff. It doesn't show anybody at their best, probably, but it happens, and for that reason I want to share it, because it's part of the experience, and not a bad part either, actually. I mean, wonderfully nasty barbs and vicious language, well used, is an art in itself. It may not be a one that we all want to cultivate, but some people are really, really good at it. This person isn't all that good at it, frankly, but they were. I mean, it's a nice string of nasty adjectives that they put together. A lot of crazy generalized comments devoid of any kind of evidentiary proof. But what the hell? Somebody had to take time out of their busy, busy lives and actually assemble this. And I think that's kind of cool, frankly. And so that's why I'm sharing it with you. So let's all just enjoy it for what it's worth and keep on listening. Take care.